Welcome back to Whence, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry. Here's your host, Brother Robert Johnson.
All right, this is episode 253. We've got a great show for you this week. I've got a cool paper from Miscellanea from the AMD, published a few years back. Pretty interesting, and just in the news, I should mention, sorry I did miss the Masonic Roundtable last week when they had a great episode on mentorship and multi-generationalism, and it was a good show. So go back and check that out. It was last Tuesday's episode, episode 124, I believe. Next week, I will not be on the program. However, I have Worshipful Brother Adam Thayer, who has stepped up to bring you a wonderful episode. I have already listened to it. It's great. Those of you who had some critiques about the audio quality last time, that's not an issue this time, so please do give the show a chance. It is grade A quality audio, and it sounds great. And he's got some great topics for you as well. So we'll get right into this week's episode right after I tell you about this exciting new thing. So a while ago, we teamed up with Banker's Best Beard Care Products. I know it sounds like a weird choice to sponsor the show, but what's cool about it is that this business is owned by a brother, and he's right out of St. Louis. He makes everything himself, and he offered to help out the show by offering, a coupon code. We do a little bit of cross-promotion is how it works, and of course, he sends me some samples, and I love the stuff that he sent. It's great stuff. So those of you who know, I usually keep a goatee. I use the beard oils, and it keeps your goatee like soft, manageable, and not so pokey with your wives or significant others. But what was really cool was that he offered to make us an exclusive. That means only you guys, anybody with a link or listening to this show, can order it. He asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, well, you come up with a name and let's go for it. And he suggested King Solomon's Reserve. And so my only issue with it was that I said, if we're going to call it that, it has to represent some sort of antiquity. You have to use fragrances or oils or something that comes from that era. And so he sure did do it. So it's an exclusive collaboration with Whence podcast. That's this show. And he's so generous that 50% of the profits from this product are donated to this show so that we can continue to fund the listener-funded education. King Solomon's Reserve is the original beard oil recipe with a fragrance specific to the exports of King Solomon's time and location. Black fig and honey give the tried and tested oil formula a rich and luxurious scent that is truly fit for our first Grand Master. I thought it was a really cool description of the product, and it smells great. It works really well. So if you head on over to WCY Podcast right now and you find the little icon for King Solomon's Reserve, I'm not going to tell you where it is. You got to find it. It's kind of hidden-ish. Or you check out the Facebook feed, and we put up a link for it right there. You can click it. And, of course, it went out on Twitter also. That's the only place you're going to see this. If you go to buybankersbest.com, it's not going to be there. You have to go through this link. It's a hidden link because it's just for you guys. So please check it out. It's not crazy expensive. It's like $14.99 for a 2-ounce bottle, and that'll last you a little while. And those of you who know who have bought beard care products before, $14.99 is pretty cheap considering some of the oils that you'll buy, like Mechanics or whoever else. They're like $20 to $30 a bottle, and they go through lickety-split. Please check it out. Help support the show, and check out our new sponsor. And if you like that product there, then once you check out, head back on over to buybankersbest.com and buy whatever you want and use the promo code BBWCY357. That's Bankers Best, Whence 357, BBWCY357. And he'll do another 20% off and kick a little bit back to the show. So huge thanks out to Brother Levi from buybankersbest.com for putting this whole thing together. So awesome, so cool. Let's get into the paper, guys. So this would normally be the esoteric week, and because I'm actually getting ready to go out of town for business for the Columbus, Ohio area, some of you have heard me talk about that, and this is why Brother Adam Thayer, I should say Worshipful Brother Adam Thayer, is heading up the show next week for us. So Don't worry, we won't have a lack in the show at all. It'll just go on very smoothly. And again, it's a great episode. I've already heard it, so be ready for it. It's going to be great. But this week, again, is the esoteric week. And because I couldn't get Frater O on the program this week, time constraints and all, I figured let's read an educational piece that comes from a really high standard of publication. So everybody knows there's like Heirdom from the Scottish Rite, and there's, various Grand Lodge magazines, there's Philalethes, some of the other more academic sources. So Miscellanea is what we're going to read from, and this comes from Miscellanea from 2012. And this piece is entitled The Balance Scales of Masonic Rosicrucianism by Frater James A. Marples, 7th degree, life member, Nebraska College, SRICF. The article starts off with an illustration of a coin, front and back. It's the Alexander VII, 1655 to 67, Testone papal coin. The concept of balance is everywhere in nature. Our planet Earth, as well as other planets and satellites, are kept in certain balance. Within the overall universe, the seasons of the year, along with our calendar, keep us in certain balance. Farmers know when to plant and when to reap. Soil consistency relies on a particular pH balance for bountiful harvest yields of crops. Our own personal hourglass, showing the sands of time, can be a clock, a wristwatch, or even a time display on a cell phone. Lastly, vertical gravity is in balance with the Earth's circular or horizontal orbit to keep buildings and structures comparably in balance, barring any opposing force, such as strong wind, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, or the like. Even with the human body, the inner ear, middle ear, eyes, and other sensory functions such as vision and touch keep ourselves in balance and free from falling, barring some extenuating circumstance as an ear infection or other type of handicap. Our bones and even our blood are also depend on pH balance as well as oxygen, nutrient, and fat to protein balance to healthy growth, proper metabolism, digestion, and optimal lifespan. In ancient craft masonry, we are taught to quote-unquote balance our daily time by the 24-inch gauge, 8 hours toward the service of Almighty God or helping a distressed worthy brother, 8 hours for our usual vocations or occupations, 8 hours for refreshment and sleep. Stonemasons and the earliest primitive speculative Freemasons only had tools such as the flat stick of the 24-inch gauge to measure by. As our fraternity evolved and expanded, more grand and glorious opportunities availed themselves. In Royal Arch Masonry, we are taught that a keystone is the special stone which keeps the curved archway in perfect balance. In the 8th degree of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, the apron of the degree features a 9-pointed star symbolizing the divine truth of Almighty God. Above the star is a balanced scales, which symbolizes both equilibrium and justice. And the jewel of the 33rd degree of the same rite is the double-headed eagle, and again a balanced scales. The motto Ordo ab Chaos signifies bring order out of chaos. Masons regularly use the conventional tool of their work, such as the square and compasses, as well as the plumb level square and trowel, as well as the mallet, pick, spade, and various other tools used indiscriminately wheresoever a need arose to use a tool. They used the appropriate tool designed for that particular purpose. Now this is underlined in the text. It is my belief that Rosicrucians interjected the balanced scales into Freemasonry. It was Rosicrucians who studied various compounds such as mercury, lead, silver, gold, sulfur, water, and fire. Rosicrucians were closely aligned with the ancient apothecaries who dispensed medicine as well as friendships, and still do today, in the world of pharmaceuticals and herbal remedies. Similarly, members of the legal profession use balance scales as their professional symbol. Precise measurement via the balance scales was needed to ensure equilibrium and justice, as in measuring a precious metal as a unit of monetary exchange. The balance scales were also vital for precise measurement of medicinal remedies. The balance scales not only serve as a visual measurement for outwardly dispensing proper amounts of medicines and pharmaceuticals, but We also have an inner compass or balance scale within each of our bodies that, when functioning normally, keeps our bodies in equilibrium with regard to daily production of insulin and hormones, as well as the perfect balance of a controlled heartbeat, as well as a regular rhythm for food and water intake and corresponding excretion of waste matter. Our blood, bones, and immune system depend on a balance of some acidic substances as well as some alkaline substances to keep our bodies sound in a good functioning order. We also find a balance in every inward breath of air, oxygen we take into our lungs, corresponding with the subsequent exhalation of carbon dioxide. Nature itself has a similar balance, with trees and other greenery thriving when exposed to carbon dioxide, and they in turn, via photosynthesis, give off oxygen which benefits mankind. This unique circle of perfection, or equilibrium, is as regular as, and comparable to, the Earth's rotation. Even our various seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, are nature's way of keeping us in another type of balance. The interlacing of Masonry and the Society of the Rosy Cross into Masonic Rosicrucianism is somewhat similar to the interlacing of the three triangles. As Masons and Rosicrucians, we always keep a harmonious balance between our scholarship and our reverence for Almighty God. Recently, I purchased an old papal states coin from the era of Pope Alexander VII, 1655-1667, which depicts the hand of God holding the balance scales. Although the old-time humorous phrase of someone putting their thumb on the scales to sway the balance in their favor illustrated how an innocent person could be cheated or deceived, we need to remember another Rosicrucian symbol, the all-seeing eye of Almighty God, which sees all and knows all. As noted earlier, early Freemasons used tradesmen tools as their symbolic emblems of measuring their moral limits and standards of conduct. But it took early Rosicrucian to interject symbols of human life into Masonry to more deeply touch the mind of the candidate and more deeply touch the soul of the human heart. The winged heart and the hourglass are further illustrations which help make Masonic Rosicrucianism the deeply scholarly institution that it is. Our rewards are not always felt solely on earth. Each of us hopes and awaits that eternal reward promised by the Lord in heaven, by always remembering that all good and virtuous things are bestowed by our Creator. May we ever be mindful to keep our lives in due bounds and balanced by the volume of sacred law, or the Holy Bible. There is a time to give and a time to receive. Masons, as craftsmen, originally focused on the materials they were working on, or on that which was being constructed. They focused on the material at hand, whether it be stone, bronze, or wood. In early times, they gave little thought about regulating or measuring their own inner levels of exertion, to quote-unquote balance their workday or to preserve their health. Yet the Society of the Rose and Cross, founded by Father Christian Rosicrucian, studied ancient wisdom, not to be some esoteric or cliquish group, but to refine that knowledge into contemporary thought for the benefit of mankind. One of the rules of his society was to give aid and assistance, even medical assistance, freely at no charge, gratis. The interjecting of Rosicrucian ideals with Masonic work eventually snowballed into Masonry, transforming itself from a guild of ancient stonemasons to a mutual aid and benevolent society of modern Freemasons, who further amplified our efforts in diverse charitable and philanthropic endeavors to Masons and non-Masons alike. To be sure, we can all be proud of our Masonic charities. I just hope that as Masonic Rosicrucians we can encourage our fellow brethren, companions, Sir Knights, and nobles to remember that our quote-unquote charitable wing shouldn't grow so top-heavy that it forgets or outweighs the fraternal wing. Just as with our own families, we must think of our duty to ourselves, our own families, our immediate neighborhoods, and our duty to God. If we keep the focus on God, country, and family, we will be in a better position to regain our collective strength as a nation. Just like the old saying, charity begins at home, we must be true and genuine Masonic brothers and Rosicrucian fratres. Good intentions must be balanced by honorable actions. If we don't balance our lives, we will be comparable to the car's tires that are out of balance. We may roll down the road. We may get from point A to point B, but it might be shaky, wobbly experience. And after a while, an unbalanced tire will begin to show undue wear and tear and literally wear out prematurely. I compare Freemasonry to a quote-unquote tire, but I compare Masonic Rosicrucianism to the lead weights which keeps our tires in balance. And just like the human body's sense of balance, we often take it for granted. automatic until we lose it. So there you have it, a pretty cool paper on Masonic Rosicrucianism and balance. Some interesting points there, and it probably holds a little bit more weight for those members of the Rosicrucian Society, or if you're interested in that, the SRICF. And I guess that's it for this week on the program. We're having a little bit of a shorter week because I do have to get ready for this trip, but I did want to mention also that I am doing some pretty heavy research into the Memphis, Mizraim, Egyptian rite of Freemasonry, and what happened to it, and why was it banned, and what made it clandestine, and what happened, where did it go, where did it start. And I've got some just crazy information that I've kind of run across, which is why I just ran with it. And of course, it has its beginnings outside of the United States, just as anybody does. Its United States story is really unique and quite interesting. So we'll have that for you maybe in a couple weeks. I'll get something together and kind of throw up some bullet points, and we'll talk about them on the show, but it is a really interesting story. So with that, please don't forget to check out the Midnight Freemasons 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Don't forget about the Masonic Roundtable going live every Tuesday at 10/9 Central. And if you like the show, please consider supporting it. So whether you're going to go and you're going to check out that link for King Solomon's Reserve and pick up some beard oil, or you're going to go over to On It and get some Alpha Brain, or maybe you just want to donate a couple bucks to the show, you can do that via PayPal. It's right there on our website, wcypodcast.com. Click on Donate. That's all you got to do. Thank you for that. If you donate to this program in any way, fashion, shape, or form, whether you're buying something or you're donating directly, you're a producer of this show. So it's listener-supported education, and I just can't thank you guys enough for allowing me to be here to bring it back to you. And of course, if you want a little something cool to wear, consider buying a Whence Came You lapel pin. They're $10. We ship them anywhere in the world for $2. So if you're in Japan, I'll ship it over there. Even if it costs $10, I'll still send it, and it only costs you $10. So again, thanks very much. I'll talk to you all in a couple weeks. Enjoy next week's program. It's going to be awesome. We've got everything lined up for next week. So I'll talk to you all then. Maybe I'll see you in Columbus or the Dublin area. Until next time, stay on the level. For Whence Came You, I'm Robert Johnson.
You've been listening to Whence Came You, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry with your host, Brother Robert Johnson. Be sure to join us for our next edition.